Back when One Nation, an Australian political party described by Wikipedia as right-wing to far right, of course, was only considered a minor player, the media pretty much dismissed them. But now that even the likes of former ABC election guru Antony Green are publishing articles like One Nation's polls surge, the first 25 seats to watch, the mainstream media can't just ignore them anymore. The Guardian recently published an average of recent polls, and regardless of how you look at it, One Nation is surging at the expense of the imploding coalition. Even Labor is taking a hit. I'm not sure which Labor voters are so sick of Labor that they're turning to One Nation, but it's an interesting development nonetheless. The reason is simple, as reported by 9 News. Voters flock to One Nation as they ditch Liberals, Nationals. Basically, if the coalition can't provide conservative-minded people with an appropriate level of conservatism, One Nation fits the bill. How do you think our taxpayer-funded media responded to this? By attacking them, of course. The top story on the ABC this morning read, One Nation Spot the Westerner video condemned. Yes, they felt the most important news in the nation was that One Nation, and therefore its supporters, are essentially bigots. Forget about everything else going on in the country. This is the top news. They wrote, a One Nation party official who filmed people on Melbourne's streets and claimed the city doesn't look like a Western nation at all is condemned by both sides of politics. Fancy that. Both major parties condemn One Nation. Who would have guessed? In the article, they refer to the person who made the video, One Nation's Bianca Colecchia. She actually migrated to Australia from Italy about 10 years ago. The ABC quoted her as saying, multiculturalism is a failed concept because no matter how individually they might be good people, it is a problem at the collective level. It erodes our cultural identity and cohesion. Australia must limit the intake of migrants from non-culturally cohesive countries. So the ABC is effectively calling an Italian migrant a bigot for wanting to protect the Australian culture she actually moved here to join. They're champions of diverse voices, unless you're a migrant who doesn't follow the approved script. Of course, the ABC interviewed the parade of usual suspects who openly hate One Nation, like Multicultural Affairs Minister Anne Aly, who said One Nation's message is un-Australian. Specifically, she said, Australia is a place where everyone is free to live without division, no matter their background. Undermining this principle only seeks to divide us, is un-Australian, and has no place in our nation. They also interviewed Farah Farouk, the CEO of the Ethnic Communities Council of Victoria. She said, migration is foundational to Australia's success. One Nation does not enhance Australia with its divisive rhetoric. Sensible Australians will reject that. So, in Ms. Farouk's mind, if you vote for One Nation, you are not sensible. They, of course, interviewed the go-to Palestinian activist, Democracy in Colour National Director Noura Mansour, who said, the video attempts to create a hierarchy of migrants where some people are welcome, migration from certain communities is normalised, whereas others are not. We reject this, obviously, because we believe everyone has the right to seek safety and better living conditions. I think it's our responsibility to remind people that unless you're First Nations, you're a migrant on this land. If you're not Aboriginal, she's essentially telling you that even if your family has been here for 5 generations, you only have the same claim to the land as someone who arrived yesterday. Of course, bands like the Hoodoo Gurus have jumped on the One Nation supporters are bigots bandwagon. On their Facebook page, just one day after Australia Day, they wrote, We were disgusted to hear that one of our songs was played by a bunch of wannabe fascists yesterday. One Nation. Like most Australians, we have always been appalled by Pauline Hanson and the toxic nonsense she spouts. And in a comment bordering on violent hate speech, they wrote, "We want nothing to do with you. In fact, we wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire." Yes, the band is publicly wishing for their fellow Australians to burn to death without consequence. Social cohesion, hey? And lastly, thank you to a viewer who sent this one in. Independent non-profit activist organisation GetUp are using their members' donations to actively attack, you guessed it, One Nation. We're fighting back against Pauline Hanson by putting bus stop ads in marginal seats she's targeting, exposing who really bankrolls her battler act. Take that, Pauline Hanson. The ABC are against you, the hoodoo gurus are against you, and now some bus stop ads are really going to sink your campaign. Unfortunately for them, a growing number of regular Australian citizens are voting with their feet, and if these polls are anything to go by, they're about to put the screws on the entire Canberra establishment.